Hi, I'm Tom James, and I'm running for trustee here in Sycamore Township this November. You know, Sycamore Township is a great place to live and a great place to work. I do both. My 4 kids have grown up here, and I'm running for trustee because I'd like to help our neighborhoods continue to be safe, pleasant places where we can all enjoy the benefits of our community. That requires maintaining clear lines and buffers between our commercial and residential areas. Lately, some of our trustees seem to have forgotten promises they made to our community about that. One example of that concerns the proposed 4-story building, just like this one, proposed for between Kugler Mill Road and the current Tri-Health building, this one right here. A few months ago, in a meeting with neighborhood representatives from Sturbridge and Heitmeyer Farms, and with the developer and township officials, including my opponent lectured me that we can always trust him and the township not to break any promises they make about holding the line against commercial encroachment into neighborhoods. He even suggested I was foolish to think the township would ever break promises like that. I later learned that he did that knowing full well at the time that the development he was hoping to make happen right over here was going to be built right across and into the neighborhood side of the development buffer right here under my feet now, that he and the same developer and the other trustees had promised just 5 years earlier would never, ever, ever be crossed. It was a promise so solemn, in fact, that Mr. Connor and his fellow trustees even required the developer to write it into the deed as a perpetual covenant on the land. That means permanent. That was supposed to remain in place forever, or at least as long as the township didn't decide to break that promise. Well, evidently my opponent either just forgot about that perpetual promise, decided to ignore it, or maybe he planned to vote to undo it when the project came before the trustees for approval. His promise came with a hidden expiration date. Unfortunately, that's all too common with politicians these days. And so when our Township Zoning Commission met to consider the proposed development in May, neither my opponent nor the township zoning official who reviewed the merits of the project in tremendous detail, nor the developer told the zoning commissioners about that permanent buffer. There was a large crowd of township residents there for that hearing. I was the first to speak, and the commissioners first learned about that buffer from me, only after hearing the township's report and the developer's pitch, which were empty of those facts. And the commissioners unanimously rejected the project as proposed after that hearing, both because of that broken promise about this ground and because the project was far too large to be built so close to our neighborhoods, including some right across the street here. Now, my opponent is a nice man. I have no doubt he loves this community. He's been in office for more than 2 terms already as well, but we can't trust his judgment any longer. I've learned firsthand that he just can't say no to developers or to at least one of his fellow trustees, and he can't keep his promises to our neighborhoods. That's unfortunate. Seeing that inspired me to run for trustee to replace him, so that Sycamore Township voters can restore trustworthiness in our local government and ensure that our neighborhoods have a strong voice to advocate for their interests. I will be that voice. When you retire my opponent and elect me as your next Sycamore Township trustee, I assure you that I won't forget my promises to the community. I won't keep our residents in the dark either about what's going on in the township or what's gone on in the past. Please vote for me this November 5th for trustee of Sycamore Township, Ohio. I'm Tom James. Thanks.